All right, welcome to my topics, advanced topics in programming final. I've we had to make four different APIs. I've done that. The wording was kind of like implied that you could make them all like together as one, but I decided to make them separate, hence why this is just Fire Station. So because of that, what I will do is I will go into more heavy detail on this one, basically talking about everything. And then for the others, since they are similar but still different, I will not go into as much detail, and I won't show off all of the mappings since there is quite a lot across the four. So first, I will start with the fire station entity. So I guess just uh, going from the top, I'm using a lombok for the setters and getters, but not for the constructors just because I have a few different ones and it's actually, to me, it's clearer if you have all of them instead of like all args and no args being handled by uh, lombok. But if I just needed those two, I would have used it. So that's then I just made a specific table name, don't have to do that. There's ID just like normal, and then here's the two non-linking, I guess, attributes of this class, or I guess specifically fields. So not null. It's a little bit of error handling here. Station number cannot be null. I could have also done it had to be positive as well, but I decided against that just because maybe they're doing something gimmicky like station -1 or the coolest station. And don't worry, I do use positive where it makes sense. Like 100% no room for interpretation, and I'll show that in a second. Then address can be null, little message there as well. And then here's the relationship with the people. So realistically, you have one fire station that's going to be in your area that's going to serve you. So this is one to many, mapped by fire station, of course, and then cascade so that it saves cascadingly. So, save a person, the fire station is saved as well. And then orphan removal true to remove any rogue kind of elements left behind since you could delete a fire station, but obviously not delete the person. And then here this is to avoid infinite looping with the JSON data. I can do JSON ignore reference, but I decided to do this way since it's uh, one to many, many to one. But for many to many, you do have to do that ignore reference. And then also here is our constructors. Here's one with a list of people, one with a list of people without ID, and then all args except for uh, people, and then no args. So I didn't use these, but I did leave them in just kind of show my thought process. Like, oh, I might need these, but I ended up just using these. And in person, you'll see what I mean. So getter setter, same as before. Entity, obviously. Table name, ID, and then here's not null, not null, not null, not null, and then positive. The age has to be positive, obviously. So this one is. You can also do min 0, which works the exact same, except for it's a minimum value, so you could specify anything else, but if you did min 0, it works the same as this. Positive is just more semantically correct. Then here's our other side of the relationship, then into one, join column, back reference, transient, fire station ID. So reason I have this, you can, in, if obviously if I want to attach a fire station to a person, I can do it just by putting in the ID, like fire station, colon, double curly quote, or curly quotes, or not, curly brackets, sorry, and then put in the ID, but I do this so it's kind of more clean when you're specifying, and also because of how I have the code, and transient basically means that it doesn't exist until we need it to exist. And then same as before, constructor wise. And then repository, I don't think I have anything in here. Okay, I had find by first name and last name, which I was didn't end up using. I think I had it in here as an example showing somebody, but still good to keep that in kind of like thought process. Obviously, don't want to leave in like lots of bad code or just lots of code in general if you're not using it. But for something like this is perfectly reasonable. And then here's the one I'm actually using, which uses the JPA to basically using the built-in methods, and so you can do find by blank, which is very common, but also I can use find by, in this case, fire station station number. So I'm basically find by this object's station number. So you can basically specify more than just an object, which is really cool. And then actually, I'll go into the service, and then we'll go into the controller. So person repository here, uh, uh, constructor. Then basically, since for this one it wanted to print out account as well as information, I have to do more than just returning people. So I use the find by fire station station number to get all the people by that number. Then if they're empty, just return empty map. But if not, we have these ints for the number of adults, number of children. Then we have person info. So basically, we can use this loop. And then, so basically, what we kind of do, we get, so we're using, just stepping back for a moment, we're using hash map because that's like a key value pair. So we can, and that's kind of what JSON is because you have the name of the variable and then what its contents are. So that's basically what this is. You can see first name, which this can be, since we're putting data, this can be anything. I could just have like name and a more pleasing look like that. But I decided just to keep it more consistent. And then, so I get so get everything basically, then increase depending on what this specific person, because that's why it's in the for loop to get the specific, and then add it to this bigger kind of map double string, or list map double string, because it's a list of maps, and these are the maps. And then we just have one final new one, which just has all the people information and then the actual counts as well. And then looking into the controller, we have the request at the top, so everything follows that path. So it's everything is slash fire station, and then slash something else if it specifies on the method. Then here's a logger, so I can log that specified logging in these, and then just constructor. And then here's the get, which use, well, here's the logger. Here's kind of the semantics for it. So it's just text, and then that would be it if you just wanted text. Like, I think, no, it was in person. But yeah, if you just wanted text, you'd remove this, and then remove this. But for this, basically, just the set of curly brackets means that that's where the variable is. Kind of like similar to C, where you put all the variables at the end, and then in the text you specify where they're going to be. And then here we basically just get that response from the service. And then we return response entity depending on what was in there. So not found or okay. And then post is just simple as literally the simplest for all of these. I'm pretty sure post is the simplest. Technically, you don't even have to have it, but obviously to actually test, you do. Also, forgot to mention using Java doc comments because it specified encode documentation, which that could have just been comments, and obviously I do have comments scattered about, but I decided doing Java doc kind of like made the most sense for that, and obviously it's very good to have. So yeah, uh, adding very simple, only kind of extra thing is this valid, which for post technically don't need to have that, but the auto kind of error handler makes it so that you don't get that bunch of gray text. Something went wrong, like I throw somewhere, like I throw an error in here, or maybe not this one. One of them I do, which is fine, but this kind of prevents that for the not null checks. And then also you just have to have it in the put from my experience. And then put is just very simple. Just set the old or set the new information to the old ID'd thing, and then delete is just delete it, and then also always have response entities. And then we're logging in every single one as well. And then last one is the person controller, same kind of deal where everything is slash person. And then yeah, here we have a new runtime exception, which is being thrown for if you try to add a fire station that does not exist. Which that's kind of like my way of. I have like the mix, I have that things are still fine with the not null, and then you're throwing an error, which like with Postman it still runs, like it still works. It just gives you that gray text, but I still have a specific message, so it still can be understood by the user. And then just set the fire station, give people add person. I don't believe technically you have to do this because I have that cascade, but I just was having some issues which didn't end up being this, and so I left this in because it's still like good to double check. And then put very similar, but also very, yeah, just very similar. I mean, there's some that are a little bit different, but yeah, it basically just set the all the information again, and the only extra thing is removing from the old fire station that they were attached to. And then delete is also the same, and but with removing them from the fire station. So that's all for this one. So now I will show a few of the mappings, and we'll see what's going on. I can't copy and paste them, but I do have a document here with kind of dummy information that I can just look at, put in the information, and you shall see how it goes. So that's running. Let me just wait for it to be sure. Yes. So first we will do fire station because a person has to be attached to one station, and then we will do post, of course, first, and then body, and then that's just from one of the other ones. So if I do station number, and I'll just show a quick kind of error first. So I'll just do that, and then I will do nothing for address, and then just to show the error handling does work. Obviously, I want to do this for every single one because that take forever. But we get the bad request, and then if I open up the fire station, it gives you that resolved, and then the message address cannot be null. So if I actually do put address in here, oh, gotta put the comma back. Just put in what I have. Now it should let me post. There we go. It's ID 152. The reason why it's such a huge jump, specifically a jump by 50, I believe, because I was doing other stuff. Because if you change the database schema, it kind of does that as a safeguard, so no information overlaps, which is a little bit interesting. So I thought I might just point that out. And then fire station get gets all the people by that number. So I'll just put a person or post a person as well. So that's and yeah, like I said, all of these are similar. So some of the people have different attributes. Obviously, their lists. So, there's one with medication, they have a list of medication. That's different. That one's also the only many to many in this. But I won't really go over the uh I won't really do this for the other ones since we're already at 16 minutes and we're still on the first one. But obviously the code's there, it does work. To ask me questions if need be and test yourself as well. I have the I have this is my cheat sheet is what I'm calling it. Just has an example of how to use every command or every uh, mapping. So obviously, if you want to test to see if something works, it's there. But the code's there, and I'm still gonna go over the code. I just don't want to waste your time with 15 million different mappings. Oh, whoops, that's not what I want. 152, yes. And then we send this. It should work. I believe everything. Yep. And then now we can do get, and then we can do fire station number one. Let's just do one first. Nobody. 152. I know why that didn't work actually. I put in the ID when I want to put in the yes. So let me check because I do believe I know. Let me, because that's a station number, not actual ID. So the station number of the one that I posted was 3, I think. Yeah, that's failing. There we go. Confused myself for a bit because it is like, obviously you're linking it with the ID here, but you want to get it by the station number here, but yeah. So it does work, as you can see. It's now all the people, well, all the one person, but see, they don't have the age there because it has the actual counts, but see, they're 50, so that's +1 for the adult. And I guess now I will show deleting, so delete. And I'm just going to pause real quick to open phpMyAdmin to check the uh, the ID of that person. Alright, so their ID was 2, so if I just go here, just as kind of like a final test, the puts are basically delete, but also added, or also post at the same time, so I'll just show delete. So first, don't have a one person in here, so I'll just show that you see that to get the 404 not found. 2, then you get the good status, basically the good version of not found, which is no content. And then if I go back and I try to get all the people by fire station number 3, there should be nobody. So yeah, that's kind of the basic structure for uh, most of these. Obviously, it's different between them. Like there's the one where I believe it's person info, where it's a you do the two, so it's fire. It would be, let's just say, I think it's person info specifically. So person info question mark first name equals blah 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 and or ampersand last name equals blah 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 as well. So that's it's the same kind of idea. Like I said, I'll go over the code for the other ones. That's person info, but I think I want to go child alert next because that's the order I did them. Oh, I forgot to show the tests as well. I'll show them for this one because they're kind of similar. So address, I'll just go down the list now that you have like an understanding of how the general code is. So get mapping, and see you get by a address, which I did a separate address for this one, like a separate address class, just to keep in line with the other ones. Obviously, I technically didn't have to do that because the requirements just for this one just said find by address, but separate class thought it would be nice to do to keep it similar to the other ones. So this specifically takes the address variable from the address class, or that's what it asks for, I guess. So that's, and then we do similar to before with our service, except for now it's basically used to filter out data instead of add extra data, because as you can see, we only want to, for this one, we only want people under 18, where the other one we wanted to count. Then post is always like the most simple one. Put, same, where you just update the information, very little because it's just that one variable, and then saving obviously. Then here is the delete, also similar. Person, which we have get all people, which is, it gets all the people with the repository. Then add person, which is same. Put, we do same as fire station where we find the ID, same here. Throwing if it's not valid, and then delete somebody as well. And then, actually, do I still have fire station running? Yes, I do. So I actually want to show one more thing where what it specifically does when you try to put a person with an ID that does not exist. So I feel like that's kind of an important one to show that I didn't. So post person, and then 153 does not exist. It's not. So send. We get our bad request there, and then if I go to the fire station, that's yes, because I'm all the way at the end. So if I go boom, and then there, fire station not found, but it's still just to kind of prove it. It still goes. It's back to the code. That's the same address. I said very simple. Also uses Lombok. Person is almost the same, but without string address. And then there's the transient as well. Repositories, nothing, and then find address by address. Showed off person service. Also, I forgot to show this for the other one, but interface as well, just to keep more with solid. And also, speaking of which, this one had a solid table that you had to fill out, which I just have explanations as on the actual card, so I won't go over that. And it's also in my presentation, so if I present this one as well, I'll be talking over it as well. But yeah, there's just the image with the explanations on it. And then I will show the tests now. So this, because there's a lot to test, I basically just did one each for all of the mappings, because didn't want to like overscope and run out of time for this. So if I do address controller, so I'll go, so here, child alert, obviously you want the is created status, so that's what this one is, and we have some fake data, well, real data, but, and also for these, this says it's technically not used, but it doesn't work without it, so I think it's kind of just like person controller still, still using it, because I'm having people here. It just doesn't say that it's being used. So get people by address, we have two people, we have them at the, put them in a list, or a map, but as a list. And then we get them by this address, and obviously where they should appear, because it's the address from earlier. Or no, it's not the address, this one. So they should appear because that. And then I just do this to do some extra checking. Then we do update. We have values for the old, values for the new. Specify the ID just to be safe. And then we do the Mojito. Yeah, this uses Mojito to basically perform a fake put with the ID, the variable. Then we do, we expect this status, we expect this variable in there, and well, we expect this in the JSON from this value. So we specify with the dollar sign dot and the name, and then what the actual value is over here. And then we just do some verifying that it's been saved, and then there is delete. And as you can see, I was gonna do like one for success and one for failure, but through actually doing it, it was a lot to do, and also, obviously, uh, these tests all pass anyway, but obviously in the real world, you'd want even more than just more than would be reasonable to do for a project, is guess what I'm trying to say. You'd want like in the triple digits probably of tests. Maybe not for something as small as this, but you still want way more than would be reasonable to do for a project of this size, or than you would expect to do of a project this size. And then it's very similar for the person, but with theirs. So obviously, for post or for get, it's just getting all the people instead of getting by address. So I'll just run these tests to show that they work. And then finally, we'll go over the code for the other three, or the other two, sorry. And then it's just down here, it's doing its thing. And then all the tests have passed. And then person as well. All the tests have passed. And you can see it's kind of like in a random-ish order. Because, you know, don't know what's going to be there. Because obviously I didn't write update first, but there is ways to do that with, like, you could do alphabetical order with specifying, and then, because that's what I did for uh, one of my other assignments in mobile development where we had to do testing. So next, person info, I believe. This one uses many to many relationships, so I'll go here. So that's why it's JSON ignore, and then it's mapped by medication, so this is in the medication. And then in the person, we have that cascade type merge. So they merge together. And then the list, of course. And then also there is just a inbuilt list of allergies, which obviously can have more than one piece of information in a column. So we use this element collection and collection table to say we're making a column, we're making a different table for this as well. It's just not linked to some another entity. It's just basically creating one, and then also join a column on this on the person ID, obviously. Well, you could have like a separate one, but so yeah, medication is also very simple. There's only three here. Didn't do delete because it was getting kind of messy. So yeah, I would just get and then put and then we delete the medication since or uh we remove the medication from the person because my kind of thought process was if you're updating the person, they're not gonna have the same medication. So then person as well. It's a very similar deal, except for this is the one where it's you get by first name and last name, and how I was saying with the question mark first name equals blah ampersand, and then create person, same deal, update person, and then it's with medication specifically, so it's like before. Repositories, we have, like I said, did them separately, kind of like have my thought process in there because you can kind of see, like, oh, I'll do this and then I'll do this, but then I found out you can do both at the same time. And then this one didn't end up needing a service, and the last one, which I will show now, which is community email, did not either. So city controller, also there's tests in there for that last one as well. Just didn't see it because I had to close, but there's I'll just open it, the all the tests. As you can see, I was kind of learning tests as I was going still, because it's specifically Mockito and JSON, which is very different than just normal Java. So I can, as you can see, I kind of expect a specific, very specific result. So that's kind of what I was doing for that, kind of just learning as I went. And then here it's especially good because you have that nested little with the medication. And then yeah, so city, person, community email. I think for this one it said you just have to do the email, or return the email for getting by city, but I decided to return everything because that just made it more clear to me. You know, knowing maybe two people use the same email, so it's just kind of nice to have this print out all the information, and then yeah, so very simple. Get all people, or get people by city, sorry, and then add person, etc., etc. And then here is the exception like before, and then city, we have, well, we do have another positive kind of thing. The only place I used it other than for age, because obviously you can't really have a negative population. And then here's our relationship. Here it is on the other side. Here, we're using Lombok, same concept. And then our repositories, which is just find by city name in person repository. So that's also the same as like find by fire station station number, where you're doing I want the name uh, variable or name field of the city object. That's how I want to find by. So yeah, that's the last one, and yeah, not really much else to say on the matter. Just here's person, here's or person controller test, here's city test, and then did have the solid principles in there. Not gonna just re like read that word for word, but I had like these obviously inherit from the JPA repository, and then the services have their own inheritance. There's also open close principle, of course, and like I said, I have it on that table, which I believe I actually implemented four of the five off the top of my head. So yeah, that's this video, that's this project, and that's all.